Hello grade 12s. I want to look at exercise 4.13 and then just explain the last three new ratios that we're going to do. If I look at the first one, return on shareholders' equity, you will remember that we did look at this on Monday. Alright, there we take our net income after tax divided by my average shareholders' equity. Right, so if I were to turn to exercise 4.13 in my textbook, you can see over here, you can just turn my textbook a bit, that net profit after tax in this case is given to me as 128,000. And now when we get to average shareholders equity, remember I want the average between 2 years. The beginning of the year balances and the end of the year balances, because the balances at the beginning of the year is the same as my balances at the end of the year. Now this exercise is easy because I give you ordinary share equity, but I want you to remember ordinary share equity consists of ordinary share capital plus retained income. And then that's at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. So in this exercise, it has been added for us. So if I go and do that calculation, I take 1.2 million at the beginning of the year plus 1,660,000 at the end of the year. And because I want an average, I divide by 2 times 100. And that gives me an answer of 128,000 divided by 1430 times 100, and that equals 9%. Right, the next one I want is my new ratio, my earnings per share. Now remember, I did give you these notes, but earnings per share, if I look at that, you take your net income after tax divided by number of issued shares. So you want to know of the profit, how much did you earn per share that you own? All right? And you'll see we times it by 100, not because we want it in a percentage, but we want our answer in cents. So this will be an amount. All right? If we look at this now, net profit after tax, the same as the previous one, is given to me. But now we want to know how many shares are in issue. Now, the company has issued 1.2 million ordinary shares. So that's the number of shares that I will be using over here. Times 100, and then I get 10,7. But remember, this answer is in cents. Now this means for every share that a shareholder owns, the earnings per share was 10.77 cents per share. Sorry, I said that wrong now. 10.7 cents per share. All right? Now, if we look at our commentary over here, you want to compare this one to our previous year always. And I always say to you, remember now, you're going to get 2 marks for saying that. You're going to say last year, let's say for example, it was 13 cents. It decreased to 10.7 cents. And then I will allocate 2 marks for saying that. Now, will it motivate potential investors to invest in our company? Remember, if it's a good return, a good earning compared to your net income, yes, it'll motivate them. If it increases from last year, yes, it'll motivate them. Will the current investors' trust in the company improve? And then I said, compare this to DPS. Now, DPS is dividends per share. Now, that's my next one that we'll be doing. Dividends per share consists of dividends paid and recommended, in other words, ordinary share dividends, divided by my number of shares times 100, and my answer is in cents again. Okay? So now, if we look at this one, The account name is dividends on ordinary shares. But I want you to remember, this account is dividends that was paid and declared, right? So this once again has been added for me. So I can say this is 96,000 divided by my number of issued shares times 100, and here I get an answer of 8 cents. Okay, if we look at this now, you know that my earnings per share was my net profit over number of issued shares. Dividends per share is dividends paid and declared over my number of issued shares. So now I want to compare these two because I want to say of the amount that I earned, 10.7 cents, 8 cents I paid out in dividends. Now, why would you make your dividends most of your earnings? Because you want your investors to be confident in the company, that you want them to keep their shares, you want the share price to increase. Remember, as soon as the dividends are too low, some investors would want to sell their shares. Now, once again, if you compare these two, and I want to say how much did I retain? How much was my retained income, in other words? This I calculate by taking my earnings per share, which I get from number 2, minus my dividends per share. And these two abbreviations that I'm using here, you are allowed to abbreviate like this. So if I compare now, earnings per share is 10.7 cents. Dividends per share is 8 cents. So that means I retained 2.7 cents. Now, depending on what your outcome is when you invest money, some people invest money to get a high return, a high dividend. Some people prefer to invest in a company where they have lots of growth. Now, the more you retain, the more money you have for growth in your company. So it all depends on the type of shareholder that you have. Now remember, whenever we ask questions, we look at your motivation. So if your motivation makes sense, you're going to get your marks. Now look at the commentary over here. I said returns is very low in comparison to alternative investments. Now, I would change that one. This one comes out of the memo book. I would rather say return is 9%, which is higher than alternative investments of 7%. Because when you just compare them, I will give you 2 marks there. Then your earnings per share of 10.7 cents is low. The market value was not provided, but the earnings per share is low in comparison with the issue price per share. Now, the issue price per share, there you can look at your ordinary share capital divided by your number of issued shares. All right, what I would do is rather just compare it to the previous year. Dividends per share is high in comparison to earnings per share. And once again, you can compare this to the previous year. And then this is an insight mark where you say this is how much was retained when you take your earnings per share minus your dividends per share. All right, retained income is low. Dividends might have been kept high to maintain the market price per share. You might even say you want to keep it high because you want to improve the confidence of your shareholders. You want to keep it high so that you can have new potential shareholders. Anything like that and you will get your marks. All right. Then the last one that we have is our net asset value per share. Now, net asset value per share is your shareholders' equity divide by my number of issued shares. All right? If I were to do this for the same exercise, I can just write down the ratio over here. Shareholders' equity divide by, I'll make this one number 5, number of issued shares times 100. Shareholders' equity, here you're not looking at an average, but you're only looking at the amount at the end of the year. Divide by my number of issued shares, in this case, which is 1.2 million. All right, times 100. If I calculate that, I get an answer of 138.33. Once again, this is cents. So if you want to write like this, this is perfectly right. Or you can say it's R1.38 rounded. Now what we usually do at this stage is we compare this to the market value of the shares. So at what price are the shares sold at the JSE? All right, let's say we sell the shares at R1 each. It means these shares are worth more than what we are selling them for. So if I were a potential shareholder and I want to buy shares, would I buy these shares? Yes, because this shows that the company is growing. The shares are worth more, so I'm actually getting it at a good price. If the shares are worth R2 and I'm a shareholder, if the shares are sold for R2 and it's worth R1.38, then obviously you'll be very glad because now I can sell my shares for more than what they are worth. So it all depends which point of view you are looking at. Just look at the commentary over here. You always compare this to the previous year. You can compare this to the market value. The market value is the price listed at the JSE. And will the market value of the shares improve? So you look at that as well. All right. If you can buy shares for R10, will you be satisfied with the price? Now, I use the example of R2 and R1. You'll remember there. And we compared this to our market value. All right, grade 12. Now that you've looked at this, I have given you the answers over here. I will upload that for you so that you can copy that. But now I want you to complete task 4.15. Task 4.15 for tomorrow. Thank you.